Well, hello Fabs. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Yella Tabwa and welcome to the House of Tabwa. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you that I'm going to be dyeing nude fabrics because right now I'm in the whole bridal sector. And my problem and issue is that every time I go out and look for mesh to match, you know, the brown and dark skinned girls like me, we can't find our colors. Now, in the market right now has regular nudes, you know, for my white folks, you know, for my white fabs. You can obviously get your nudes because they're available to you. But for us girls, it either goes from very light to medium and then dark. And the dark is be too dark and the medium might be a little too light for the in-betweeners. And so I'm gonna basically try to fill in that issue with the in-between colors that are missing in the market. So let me show you some of the fabrics that are already here available in the market right now, and then we're gonna proceed on dyeing. So here are all the colors that I have available in nude mesh. This fabric is Power Mesh, and this is basically the nude that they have at the local store that I could find. It doesn't even come in any of these colors, which is unfortunate because Power Mesh is something I use a lot in bridal. And of course this is white, so that's very common. I can find this, but these are the colors that I found as nudes that I use for people who are, you know, light to dark. These shades are not enough for girls who are looking for their color. I can't find mine in the local market. I did do a style that looks similar to me, which this deep one I used, which I can get away with it under certain lighting, but as you can see, as I place my hand underneath, it doesn't completely disappear. I need a color that disappears onto my skin. In certain lightings, this can pass, and in certain angles, it won't. So for me, this will help for the deep skin girls, the deep dark skin girls, but it won't work for me as a dark. I need an in-between color between this and this. Also, another thing that I noticed too is that as you can see, this brown has a red undertone, and so I would need a deep brown that has a yellow undertone. Like this one seemed to have like a red pinkish undertone. This one has a more yellow undertone. So I'm gonna be dyeing using these mesh fabrics and then trying to tone them down and also creating undertones for more options. Now, I went ahead and got me some containers at the local dollar store. So I'm gonna use this as my dye bath just to test the swatches. So that way I don't have to go ahead and do the whole boiling water in a pot situation when I want to get certain colors. So let me show you the colors that I'm going to be working with and how am I going to go ahead and do this process. Alright, so I'm going to be using RIT dye. This one is the synthetic kind. This is strictly for synthetic fibers, nylon, polyester, anything plastic. And I'm going to be using this as my main color, and then I'm going to be adding the red and yellow dyes, these guys along with it, just to give me undertones, cool and warm undertone. So these are going to be used in the dye bath as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the dye baths, and I'm going to start cutting the swatches for each dye bath. Okay, so here are the swatches that I've chosen to dye. As you can see, it's an array of different colors, so that way I can see how each color reacts to the dye and which can get closer to the color that I'm looking for. And so since we're testing it onto my skin, I want to see what color will get close to my skin without, you know, going with white. If you don't have access to any of these, you will use white to create your nude of colors, but if you don't want to start from white, you can use these already colors and just try to darken them. You can't light them up if they're already dark, but if they're light, you can go darker on the colors. So I'm going to boil a pot of water, And I'm just going to do this just to put it in my dye bath. I'm not going to do the boil method where I'm going to just put the fabrics in this in one color, because like I said, I'm going to be creating multiple color baths. So one pot of water, as it continuously boiling, is not going to work for me. Now while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and pre-wash my swatches. And all I'm going to use is just regular Dawn soap. And this process is just to remove any residue that's on the fabric already, so I can have a proper dye process when I'm ready to dye them. Okay, so I have to put my plastic down because I don't want my table being dyed. And I'm going to set up my containers. So this is my dye bath setup. I hope I don't burn myself. Ooh, I was making a mess. Making a mess. Ooh, okay. Take my time. I got that thing splashing on me. All right. So I'm taking the Ritz, and I have a spoon here. So I want to go ahead and measure how much I'm going to put in each bath. Ooh, this is opaque. So I'm putting 2. I want this to be very in here. One in there. 2 in this one. This is looking very purple. Next, I'm adding red. And yellow in this one. Now it's time to add the fabrics. And so I'm going to let it sit until it completely cools off. Right now it's super duper hot in here anyway, so we'll check back in an hour. Okay, so the dye has been sitting here for over an hour now. So I'm going to take each and every one out to see what colors did I get. So this is the red, this is yellow. Ooh, this is different. I'm liking this one already, the yellow one. This is with no, this is with 1. This is actual dye, this 1 teaspoon, and this is just 2 teaspoons of the dye. So I'm gonna rinse these off and see what they turned out to be. Okay, so here are the groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what it turned out to be. So as you can see, this is the this is the power mesh. And from straight to brown, so this you would need to take time to like dilute the brown color, so that way you can create multiple rays of nude shades. This is the red version and this is the yellow version. So obviously the bath was a little bit too congested, so it didn't fully pick up the whole entire dye. It didn't dye properly, but they look very similar, but one of them is a little bit darker than the other. Here's the other ones from the other baths, the other power mesh. And as you can see, they all have different color tones when you look at them. This is with 1 teaspoon of dye. This was with 2 teaspoons. This had red and this had yellow. So you guys can see the difference between each of the colors of the power mesh. And again, for my skin, I think if it's for lining, I think it's pretty good. The white definitely did well. This was white tulle and it completely dyed the color. It looks very invisible actually on my skin. So this is the red, as you can see, and this is the one with the yellow, which looks much better on my skin tone. But it did good. It dyed the tulle very nicely. This is without, this is the 1 teaspoon tulle. And this is the one with the 2 teaspoon tulle, which looks more on the red tone as well too. Here is the 2-way stretch mesh fabric. This is the mesh that's been used for illusions. They use it in illusion gowns or in tops, as I did in my last episode. They use this to basically place it onto the body to make it look invisible, where they can lay the lace on top and it looks like it's on your skin and not necessarily on fabric. So as you can see, it's basically tinted the first go round when I dipped them. So I'm gonna have to re-dip them again to get the accurate color from my skin tone. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 dye baths this time. Ah, hot. Whew. And this time I'm gonna put 3 teaspoons instead of 2 teaspoons. And then same for this, equal parts. I'm gonna also put 3 teaspoons. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3 for red. So I'm gonna take from the same group and just dip the 2-way mesh inside. Same here. And once again, I'm gonna let this sit until it cools, about an hour. Okay, so the dyes are finally set. They're cooled off. So I'm gonna just take them out and do the same thing and wash them so I can get the full color, and then wait for them to dry so we can see the actual real color. So after dipping them again, this is the colors that came out of the selection of the 2-way stretch mesh, and I'm gonna go ahead and go through them and select the ones that matches my skin tone. Okay, so here I am ready to test my swatches, and the best way to test your swatches is against your neckline. Here is mostly the realest color of your skin, and this is where the fabric's going to lay so it can look naturally like your skin tone. So let's look at the red group. So here is the red. I mean, it looks very close. I'm liking this so far from the red group. Let me see the next one. This is a bit dark. Let's see this. Still, I think this one's the best so far, but I think it's too red. So here's some of the swatches that I selected from the yellow group. And this is more like it. It matches my skin completely, where you can't even see it in any angle. Yes. Can you see that? This has the yellow undertone in it. Okay, let's see the next color. So you can see this. So this wouldn't be my color. But it's still good though. And then you have this one, which is a little bit lighter. This is the one. See that? Can't even see it. So for the illusion, it would just look like they sitting on my skin. Like this. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and you liked the method that I showed you guys how to dye nude illusion mesh. If you know any tips or tricks, leave them down in the comment section. It will be a great deal of help, especially within the community. I'm going to be trying this method again in my next bridal design, and I'm probably going to be using the boiling method since I'm going to be doing one colorway. So stay tuned for that and subscribe to see that video when it comes out. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.